All right. I think we may be back now. We were having some technical difficulties there. Welcome to Revelation Revealed. We're in week number 13. Normally we pre-record all of these, but today we are live. And so if you have any questions this morning, feel free to put them in the comments as we deal with Revelation chapter number 7 today. So let's look at Revelation 7, verse number 1. And after these things, now I want to pause for just a minute. For those of you that have been along in the series, you know that we've been going through the sealed judgments of chapter 6. Now, chapter 7 is an interesting chapter because the details of chapter 7 are not chronological with chapter 6. In other words, we're not for certain what time frame this all covers. So the material covered in chapter 7, we know could be before the seven seals. It could be in the middle of the seven seals. But what's happening here is the marking of the 144,000 that happens during the tribulation period. We know that. Now, we know that these happened at least at this point, probably earlier in the tribulation period. So this beginning. So what's happened is there's been a change of scenery again. John's perspective has been from heaven looking down, and now his perspective is here on earth. So he's getting a what's happening up here vision, and now what's happening down here vision. And so here in chapter 7, he says, after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. So there's these four corner winds, north, south, east, and west. Now, it's interesting that you would hear it described this way because many of you would say, well, the earth is round, so there's not really corners on a ball, a sphere. So what does that mean? It's dealing with the wind. Also, there's a central location. I believe the Bible is clearly teaching here that the nation of Israel is the focus point. Here in Jerusalem would be the focal point. So the north of Jerusalem, the south, the east, and the west of it are surrounding Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is the focal point because God's chosen people, the nation of Israel. So he is focusing in on the nation of Israel. It's important to remember the church did not replace Israel. God has a special relationship with the people of Israel, and God has a special relationship to the church. They're two different groups of people. So here we find the four winds are holding back those four winds. In verse 3, it says, saying, hurt not the earth. So there's a voice. Let me go back, verse 2. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of God in their foreheads. So there's this other angel, a fifth one mentioned in this text, whose job is to seal the 144,000 Jewish witnesses. Now, Revelation 14 tells us these are Jewish males, they're virgins, they have not known a woman, they are set aside for the purpose of spreading the gospel during the tribulation period. And so the seal here, now, when a king would seal something, because God is the King of Kings, when he would seal something, he'd place his ownership. These evangelists, these 144,000 witnesses, they belong to the Lord. Not only do they belong to the Lord, but with his seal upon them, they had the power and authority of God. And so there's ownership involved, there's power involved. And so it continues on. It says that until they were sealed, they're not to hurt the trees nor the winds here. And so they're holding back judgment until the 144,000 are set aside. And from that, that's where we get those first six seal judgments. It may have been early on in the process that these are sealed. And so now we find here, it continues on in verse number 4. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 Of all the tribes of the children of Israel, of the tribe of Judah were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Gad were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Asher were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Naphtali were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Manasseh were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Simeon were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Levi were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Issachar were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Zebulun were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Joseph were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Benjamin were sealed 12,000. Now, you may be looking and saying, all right, Pastor, I see that there, but I don't remember there being a tribe of Joseph. And that was because, as you know, Joseph got the double blessing from his father, and Manasseh and Ephraim were both set aside to be tribes of Israel. So you had Manasseh and Ephraim that were they received the blessing of Joseph, receiving the double blessing. Joseph replaces Ephraim. Now, I don't have time to describe all of that because I'm not for certain all the reasons why. But it does appear that Ephraim left the leadership of God. They followed after idols. And so because of that, God chose to replace them. I don't know that for certainty, but that's what many commentators believe. Also, you'll notice the tribe of Dan is not mentioned. Dan was the first into idolatry. They forsook the Lord. Now, there are some who believe that the Antichrist may have a bloodline into the tribe of Dan. I don't know that for certainty. That is believed by many, but I don't know that for certainty. But I'm mentioning that because that could be a reason why the tribe of Dan, or it could solely be because based upon their idolatry and their turning away from God, that God does not include them in this section. Now, these are not the only Jewish people that will be saved. I wanted to make that clear. These are Jewish evangelists set aside to preach the gospel. In our next video, we're going to talk about the tribulation saints. You'll discover them in this chapter, and it also references them throughout the whole tribulation period. So the next section we know doesn't just cover right at this moment, but also throughout the tribulation period. Now, the 144,000, they're sealed by God. His name is in their forehead, and they've got a great power that is placed upon them, and they will continue through the tribulation period unharmed. Now, there may be persecution, but they'll be unharmed through the tribulation period. We find that the judgments that happen with the trumpet judgments, that they are protected through that. The Bible tells us that. And when we get to the trumpet judgments, we'll talk about those things. But today, I want to show you through this Revelation chapter 7, this important statement that God is not through with the nation of Israel. God is working through Israel. And during the tribulation period, it's all focused around the nation of Israel. And these witnesses are proclaiming the truth. There will be many people who believe on Jesus Christ to be their Savior during the tribulation period who have not heard the gospel. Now, if you were with us a few videos ago, we explained what happens to those that have heard and have rejected Christ during the time before the period of the rapture of the church and the tribulation period. But this video, we're talking about these 144,000 witnesses. So yes, even though the Antichrist and his machine of people and their desire to take over will cause havoc upon the land, God in his mercy and grace will be extended through the witness of the 144,000, through the two witnesses that we'll talk about later on. It'll be amazing to see how God works. And you know, it's always amazing as I think about it today, how God works. Here in the United States of America today on November the 4th, we're having a day after the election still continuing. And you may be here watching this video this morning and concerned about the election and what's going to happen. And who's going to win and whether your person's going to win or the other person's going to win. And, it can cause some anxiety and fear. It can be overwhelming at times. And you could be living a life filled with fear. And the Bible tells us that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So right thinking comes by keeping your thought life correct and thinking about the things of the Lord. So this morning, I thank you for stopping by to watch Revelation Revealed. And I want to remind you, there are a lot of questions about what's going to happen in the future. But the next thing on God's prophetic calendar is the rapture of the church. My friend, do you know Jesus Christ as your Savior today? Are you 100% sure if the rapture happened today that you'd be caught up in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air? Do you know that today? If not, find out how you can. You can contact us here at our church. We'd love to share the gospel with you. You can message us on this video, message our church's Facebook page, or email us. But we'd love to take the time to show you how you can know for certainty that you're on your way to heaven. Yes, there will be the 144,000 witnesses, and they'll be sharing the gospel during the tribulation period, and lives will be changed. In our next section, it's a countless number of people who believe on Christ during the tribulation period. But my friend, don't wait. If you've heard the gospel, you need to be saved. The time is running out. But I'm so excited to know that God is a loving and merciful God and cares about people. And the Lord knows about you. He knows about the feelings you're having today. He knows about your concern with this virus, the concern of our nation. He knows all about it. The songwriter once said, Jesus knows all about our troubles, and he will guide till the day is done. There's not a friend like the lowly Jesus. No, not one. No, not one. This morning, take some time to talk to your friend about your cares, your concerns, and your frustrations. Because he knows. 1 Peter 5:7 tells us, casting all your care upon him, because he careth for you. And he also is the God of peace, the peace of God which passeth all understanding, is available to you and I from the God of all comfort. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time here at Revelation Revealed.